All right, folks, let's take a look at the lymphatic system. We're going to break this down into its two parts. You've got lymphatic vessels and you've got lymphoid tissues and organs. Okay, the lymphatic vessels are going to transport fluids which have escaped from our vascular system. It's going to transport that stuff back into the blood, okay, specifically back to the heart. Okay, so we've got our blood. Blood's going to leak out of blood vessels in different places, okay, or at least that blood plasma is the fluidy portion of the blood, okay? When that plasma, that fluid gets stuck in our tissue spaces, it's going to be sucked up by the lymphatic vessels, and it's going to be taken back to the heart. Okay, lymphoid tissues, these are going to house phagocytic cells and lymphocytes, which are all part of our defense system. That's going to help us with keeping ourselves healthy or keeping ourselves well. It's going to help us fight off infection. What is lymph fluid? That is that plasma that gets pushed out of the bloodstream at the capillary level. Okay, it says the extra fluid remains in the tissue spaces, so it's got to be returned back to the bloodstream. So what happens there is that those lymphatic vessels are going to suck that fluid up, and then it's going to take it back to the heart. Okay, lymph is only going to flow towards the heart. So here goes your lymphatic vessels here. Here's your capillaries. So what's going to happen is as that blood drips out of the capillaries or the plasma, it's going to get sucked up by all this, and then it's going to flow through this, blah, 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 back up, and then it's going to eventually drop back into the blood vessel, into the vessels right before the heart. Okay. This is a one-way system. Okay. You're only going to go from the body back to the heart. It says lymphatic capillaries form a spider web between the tissue cells and the blood capillaries. They're very permeable. They have these little miniature valves so that once the fluid gets in there, it's only going to go in one direction. Okay, you don't want it to start to backflow. It's just going to flow in one direction. It says the capillaries join to form collecting vessels, which make their way to collecting ducts. So all the green that's in here is the lymphatic capillaries. Okay, and you can see how it's right here around the capillaries of the bloodstream as well. And so what's going to happen is as things drip out of the capillaries, because we need to have some exchange, the oxygen exchange, carbon dioxide, nutrients, so on and so forth. As that exchange occurs, plasma leaks as well. Then the plasma is picked back up by the lymphatic vessels, and then you can see that there's these little flaps or valves in here, so that once the fluid is in here, it's going to stay in, and it's going to continue to move. Where are the collecting ducts? You've got two main collecting ducts. The right lymphatic duct is going to drain lymph from the right arm and the right side of your head and thoracic area. Okay, so this part of your body here is all going to dump into the right lymphatic duct. The whole rest of the body drains into the thoracic duct. Okay, both of these ducts are going to empty the lymph back into the subclavian veins so that that blood can be returned to the blood vessels. So here goes the right thoracic duct here, okay, and here's the right lymphatic duct here, and the thoracic duct here, and both of these are going to dump blood back into the subclavian veins. Lymph nodes. We've all heard about lymph nodes before. What do? It says they're going to filter lymph before it's returned back to the blood. Okay. You also have a lot of macrophages and lymphocytes that are within here to help. Okay. Those are going to kill pathogens. Okay. If you've got a pathogen in your bloodstream, once it gets into, you've got all these little white blood cells which are in your lymph nodes, which are going to destroy those pathogens. Okay. Materials which are returned to the blood include water, white blood cells, and proteins. The harmful materials that the lymph nodes remove are going to be bacteria, viruses, cancer cells, and cell debris. Now, what is a pathogen? You're probably asking yourselves. A pathogen is anything that can cause your body harm or disease, okay, via microorganisms, okay? It says it's a general term for any foreign thing that enters our body that can cause us harm. That's a pathogen. We have clusters of lymph nodes. You found lymph nodes all over your body, but they're mainly found in clusters. Some of those cluster areas are the inguinal region. Inguinal region, there we go, which is the groin. The axillary region, which is your armpit, and the cervical area, which is your neck. Okay, and you've got roughly 500 to 1,500 lymph nodes in your body. Okay, a macrophage is a type of it's a type of cell which is going to engulf and destroy foreign pathogens such as viruses and bacteria. Okay, you've got lymphocytes, which are going to provide an immune response to foreign substances. And you've got two types of those. You've got B cells and you've got T cells. We've all heard that before that it's possible to get swollen lymph nodes. What happens here is that the stuff that you're trapping in your lymph nodes can block the little vessels which they're trying to get through. That's going to cause you to have a swollen lymph node. It says only the lymph nodes are going to filter lymph. You've got several other organs which are going to help with lymphatic function. We have the spleen, we have the thymus, we have tonsils, and we have Palyers patches. And we've already talked about tonsils and Palyers patches in some different units that we've talked about. But what is the spleen? The spleen is located on the left side of the abdomen. And what it's going to do is it's going to filter your blood of bacteria, viruses, and debris. Okay? It's also going to destroy your worn out blood cells, and it acts as a blood reservoir. The thymus is located in your throat, and it actually lays over your heart. Okay? Its functions peak during childhood, and what they're going to do is they're going to produce hormones that actually program your lymphocytes. Okay? We're going to talk about these more when we're doing the notes in class. This is an extremely interesting structure. Okay, very, very interesting. It actually trains some of your white blood cells, your lymphocytes. Okay, it's really interesting to see how that works. Okay, but here is the thymus right there. Tonsils, as we learned in our digestive unit, are small masses of lymphoid tissue, which are found in your pharynx. These are going to trap and remove bacteria and then any other foreign materials which can enter in during breathing or eating. And we've seen this picture before. Here's a set of tonsils, tonsils, and tonsils. And lastly, we have Palyers patches, which we also talked about in the digestive system. These are found in the wall of the small intestine. Okay, these are going to capture and destroy bacteria while we are digesting our food. Okay, so if for some reason a bacteria was able to make it all the way into the small intestine, this is like a last line of defense, which hopefully will destroy those pathogens before they get a chance to enter the rest of the body. Okay, it says the body's constantly in contact with bacteria, fungi, and viruses, all of which are considered pathogens. And we've got two major defense systems for destroying these foreign materials. And we're going to get into that in the notes. Okay, a little spoiler alert. It's non-specific defense and specific defense. So that's that. And we will see you when we do notes.